All right, it is time for another episode of the Money Shift Podcast, episode 12. And today I have not only got my co-host from the last episode, Mr. Gary, aka Iron Maiden, but I also have kind of bringing back my business partner, Josh Juhasz, the founder and owner of Revhard Motors, our automotive logistics partner out of Denver, Colorado. He is joining the podcast once again and excited to dig into the current state of car culture. We're also going to be looking at a insane R35 that he has available at Revhard Motors and talk a little bit about the current R35 market. And touch on a few other topics covered in the Daily Driven newsletter. So let's go ahead and bring up our co-hosts. All right, we have got, let me find a layout that's good. There it is. Okay, we have got it. Awesome. Well, how's it going, guys? Josh, good to see you.
Welcome. I'm glad to be back. Hey.
Yeah, and Gary, how you doing this morning?
Hey guys, GM. Excited to dive into the episode and also cover a little bit of, Josh's brain in regards to that sweet card that I see in the newsletter. And I would like to know a little bit more, as I was, when we were in a meeting earlier, I wanted to know a little bit more in regards to that card, exactly what they consist of, but definitely excited. So ready to jump in.
Yeah. So before we get things rolling, just got to mention that we are streaming live on X and Twitch. If you're tuning in, we would love it if you would share this podcast with anybody who you know who's into cars and crypto, and help us to grow our audience. So should be a good show. Let me go ahead and pull up the Daily Driven newsletter. We are on issue number 94, 95 coming out on Friday. So make sure that you go to drivenculture.xyz to subscribe. But in this week's issue, we featured a vehicle that is currently available at Revhard Motors. It's a 2009 Nissan GT-R, otherwise known as an R35. This is definitely not a stock car. It is a bit of a beast. And so I go ahead and pull it up here on Josh's site, revhardmotors.com. You can see it is just under 80K, which in my opinion is a value for how much money I assume has gone into this thing.
Correct.
Very, very nice specimen. But Josh, I want to see if you can just give us a little intro to, what this R35 is, what makes it special. And
Yeah. It's interesting that, this was a showcase vehicle because it also showcases the element of community that we are. So this R35 GT-R is a 09, and it was built by one of our customers who has also purchased an R34 Skyline. And he was one of the gentlemen who had the legal plates and registration who went to ours meeting with us. And so you'll see on the back pillar on that driver's side, there's two little stickers. One's from Hakone and one's from ours meeting. And so this gentleman lives and breathes the culture. He's an airline mechanic. He's an older gentleman. He's driven this car on the actual track itself. He drives around the country. He's been on the Autobahn. He's been in Japan. This guy is a true enthusiast and has become kind of a friend of the shop here. This car here was built kind of very intensive with the purpose of performance without going over the line. There's a popular company called Jack's Transmissions that does a pretty good build for this. And so the whole bottom end has been replaced. It has pistons and forged elements. The whole motor has been gone through. It's pretty infamous in the 2009 models that the bell housing is crap and the transmission has failures, and Jax is one of the best at that. So everything in this car that's been an 09 weak point has not only been addressed, but it has been upgraded beyond necessity. The bell housing's upgraded. You'll also notice that the car has the upgraded 2013 bumpers.
Yep, I noticed
So
that when I was looking at it. I was like, the 2009s didn't have the fog lights, so
no,
that
and all
explains
of
that.
the factory bumpers come with it. So he has all the factory original stuff, but the brakes on it has the Ecutech ECU. It's tuned on E85. It has flex fuel gauge in there, so it knows which is what. And on a conservative tune on E85, I believe it was like 830 to 850 horsepower. And there's that cliche old story of like the classic left in the garage old lady car, right? Like a car with no miles. It looks almost new, brand new. This is like the built version of that. It's never been abused. It's been enjoyed. It's been overbuilt and driven at its level, right? A lot of people like to squeeze out horsepower and go to Texas 2K and try to get 3,000 horsepower out of these. If you tuned this car and really squeezed it and got some more boost, you could probably get 1,000 horsepower. It is built pretty close to that. But just as a frame of reference, Alex, you've been to our shop here. In front of our shop, there's like a long street out front. And that's where you drove the 33, and I first scared you in that.
And then I scared you. No, it's kidding.
So you've done that run with me in the 33. So from the parking lot where my street ends through this last turn before the stoplight, I don't know if it's a quarter mile or whatever, but it's a pretty good distance. And this car got up to 110 and half of that distance.
Whoa.
So just for your frame of reference, Alex, from that turn off for the D7 roofing to just past my shop, it was already at that speed. So it's fun and enjoyable. It's all-wheel drive. It's a grown man's done car, right? It hasn't been ratted out. It's even just to buy this car as a shell as a 09 and do this build, you're looking at probably 70 grand just to replicate the build. But yeah, it's ready to go out the box. Everything's been addressed. The market is kind of all over the place right now. I call the GT-R the grown man's Evo. Right? They've all kind of been through the same lineage, exhausts and tune-ups, and they've all been beat pretty hard. So it's really rare to find a car that has this caliber of a build, but also you can trust it as like a quality vehicle.
Yeah, that's the thing I find about the R35s in particular is like you can squeeze a good amount of power out of them while still having them be pretty streetable. There's so many other cars that, when you're getting up to the 800 horsepower range, it's like, you're basically going through a full like pre-race check every time you hop in the car to make sure everything is good so you don't blow it up. In this case, the twin turbo V6 in these things can handle a ton of power, doesn't take a lot. As you mentioned in the first generation of R35s, the transmission was the big weak point. But that's probably the first thing to fix if you've got one of the first gen R35s. And I bet you this thing, you could enjoy this thing for years. And considering that the price of what do you got, $78,000 is, a hair more than what it would take to put into the car to get it to this level. Man, this is a very good deal.
Even like the choice of wheels and the accents of the rear carbon wing and the little touches, right? And as you just noticed, Gary scrolled past, it had top secret floor mats. And for you auto enthusiasts who know the JDM stuff, top secret's pretty well known. So, it's not just random stuff put on this car. It's built with intention and care. And he just ran out of room. He has some other unique cars too. Like he just got a Ford Taurus SHO, the old Yamaha.
Yeah, it's funny. I would just mention that car in our last podcast when I was telling a story about when I got my S14 up to almost like 170 on the 405. And my buddy was in a Ford Taurus SHO with the Yamaha engine. It's funny you mentioned that. There we go. I was looking for a picture of the engine here.
Yeah, it's upgraded piping, upgraded intercooler. Like, if you look at it, it's not terribly fancy. And I think that's kind of been the downfall of the 35 the whole time. If you look at it, it's not terribly fancy. It's a very impressive car. It looks great. But, in a crowd of cars, it kind of doesn't stand out too much. But as far as performance goes and Nissan engineering, and this motor can handle a lot, it is one of the best 35s that I've driven. I think whoever buys this car is going to be super, super happy.
Yeah, I'd love to own this thing. Make it my daily.
This is the perfect opportunity for built, not bought.
Bought, not built. Exactly.
Which leads back to the car culture,
Mhm.
because I think that's kind of a interesting astray, because back when you and I were doing cars, we did all of our own work. We were all in the streets. We didn't have the internet. We weren't on Instagram trying to impress people. We were just building our stuff, and we had to learn from each other. And it was more of a community. And now it's kind of more of a fashion show.
Yeah.
And so, I think it's more relevant to the type of event to be more shenanigans or not. Obviously, H2O in New Jersey started as a great car show and then ended up as a place to get a trophy tow. It's the place that's famous for towing all the cars. And Gatlinburg, Tennessee, at the event in the newsletter, is what was it, Slammedenuff?
Yeah, Slammedenuff.
Yeah. So it's typically like I don't want to say, it's like the stance culture and the takeover culture kind of seem to be one and the same now.
Yeah,
I
which
grew
I
up
think
with
is
VIP culture. I love the VIP style, but like, I think it's just a matter of the youth trying to be, eccentric. Like, you have to like do something crazy to get noticed in this culture, and I think that's just
definitely.
what it is.
Yeah.
And honestly, I think it's more about discipline and parenting than it is the car culture.
Yeah, quite possibly. Yeah, I think we'll dig into that a little bit more in the next segment where we'll talk about
sorry, I didn't mean to jump ahead.
Slammedenuff. Oh, totally good, totally good. But figured what we could do is pull up this car and also the general R35 market and kind of take a look at where this car stacks up. So this is classic.com, where he's got the this exact car listed. And I believe, is it down here? Yeah, we've got market data showing the price movement over the, I guess, the last 5 years or so. Kind of curious what your thoughts are on the, I guess, the current price historically, maybe whether this car can be looked at as a collector car, and maybe where you think it's going to be going in the future.
So based by its age, this car is now over 25. No, it's not. It's not 25. So the values of these cars really are specific. The 09 seem to have fallen off because people know about the problems they have to address. And then there are some other models that have just been too modded out to make them work. Like this car here, right? It's sitting pretty stanced out. It's pretty low. That's suspension. They probably did some work to it. And this is listed for $85,000.
85, although only has 10,000 miles on it.
That's why. Crazy. So the mileage plays a big deal in this car, and then obviously the level of modification and originality. It fluctuates kind of all over the board. I've seen GTRs go as low as like 50, 60 at some of these auctions, and the average price seems to be like 68 to 72 for a good car.
Yeah,
and then the upper body style, it's a little bit more, but
yeah, seeing a number here in the 50s. There's this one here at I can't even click on it. 500. Yeah, I don't think so. That's noise. But yeah, so low end you're going to see in the 50s, maybe breaking into the high 40s. But on the upper end, you're seeing 90. We've got one here even for that sold for $500,000. It's the one by Itella Design. That's completely different beast.
Right.
Black edition for 90. This is when I drove an R35. Oh, I'm sorry. I was clicking on a different one. When I drove an R35, it was the black edition. That thing was sweet.
And so, it really matters, right? Like what model it is, what trim, how many miles, what the modifications are. And as with anything, whenever someone builds a car, you never really get out what you put into it once you cross a certain line. And so we'll see a lot of also people trying to recoup, if you will. So it kind of throws some of the prices. Is what a car can list for and what a car sells for. And that's why we're seeing that range. And so like the cars that you see in that 90 range are probably kind of comparable to the car we have almost, but it kind of shows you that range. And so that's why this car is such a good value, because if you buy it on that lowest 40 side at a auction, let's say you pick it up at Copart or something that needs some body panels, and you did the work to get to this car's level, you're easy dropping the same value of the car, if not more. And so it's not for every buyer, but it is for the buyer who wants to enjoy a car and not have to worry about it. It's just built and ready to go.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. And so where do you see the collectability and the future price projections of R35s in general? I know there's a lot of different special editions, like some of the ones I was clicking on here. We've got Nismo special edition.
The Nismo for sure.
Yeah, there's I saw one that I don't even know where it went, but there was one in here that had a name on it. I was like, I don't even know what that is, to be honest. But
well, they cut production this year, I believe. So there's going to be a gap between not having any more. I think that, like any car, there's going to be less and less survivors. So I think there will be a demand. It's going to take a while for it to be like a collector car. When I first started the dealership in 2018, a Mitsubishi Lancer Evolution, it's like 8 or 9, you could get for like 13 to 15 grand. And now you can't get one for under 30 pretty much. And since they still have the new models out, it kind of hasn't hit that same effect yet. But I think there will be a day, and we're starting to see it to where that'll be collector. And it will be interesting to see if down the road, when these cars are 25 years old, if people prefer to import the right-hand drive of those also.
That's a good point.
But I do think they'll stand the test of time. And I don't know if it'll ever reach like that tier status of like a M-Spec NER, right?
Yeah, R34.
The Nismo one probably would get close to that. There's a couple like the T-Specs, right? Those like Millennium Jades and the Midnight Purples. There are versions that will be collectible.
Yeah, and that's something that Nissan's really good about is they put out a lot of different special editions, and those are the ones that end up, going for more money because there's fewer of them, they're more unique, more special. So, those are going to really be where the collectors are going to be looking rather than sort of the base model R35s. I don't think you can go wrong by buying one if you've got the cash to do so. They're amazing cars. But I think the collector market's probably over the years going to focus more on the special editions. And so, if you want to buy something that is more likely to have that collector car status and appreciate and value more, that's the way to look. That's the place to look, rather. And then I just have to pull this up just because I'm sure not very many people know what this is, but this is probably going to be the rarest version of the R35. And it's a kind of a concept design. How many of these were made? It was designed by
Not very many. That's the Italian one, right?
Yeah, it's basically like, if you were to turn an R35 into a Ferrari is what you're looking at here.
Looks like a spaceship, cuh.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, like I'm not the biggest fan of the way they look, but they'll definitely turn heads. But yeah, if you can get your hands on one of these, I have a feeling this thing is going to be super valuable in the future.
Is this out though? Or is this a concept?
Think of it like a modern resto mod. So basically, Ital Design got their hands on a number of R35s and then basically redid the body and the interior. I don't think there's a lot that they did to the motor. I mean, it's tuned, it's modified, but it's not like they did the same level of customization to the body and the interior as they did to the motor, but pretty unique car nonetheless.
Damn. And am I reading that right? That's the listing price for that one?
Yeah, $500K.
It says sold.
Yeah, so it sold for $500K.
Sold too, you're right.
Only had 120 miles on it. That's insane. So yeah, there's a wide range of collectability in the R35 market. So I'd say, give it 20 years, the base models will definitely be collectible, especially as more are wrecked or, basically go through the hands of 15 different owners that basically do what they do to S chassis to this car. It's inevitable. But I think we even may at DRVN Labo down the road look at getting our hands on some sort of special edition. In fact, didn't they, for the final run of the R35, they came out with a special midnight purple version?
Yeah, it's the T-spec.
Yeah.
They made it in Millennium Jade too.
Oh, that's right. Oh, it's my favorite color.
Yeah, I have a customer or a friend. Actually, I don't want to call them customers. They're buddies. He's in Florida, and he has a. He might have sold it by now, but he had a Millennium Jade.
There's a
T-spec.
2001 T-spec.
He also has a Midnight Purple 3, Midnight Purple 2, and a Club Raceman spec.
Mm-hmm.
So if anyone wants one of those, holler at your boy.
All right, I'll be giving you a call, Josh. Yeah, this one went for $250,000. Oh,
yeah, the T-specs are nice.
It's priced at, yeah. But yeah, I've always been a fan of the R35. So hell, I'd be fine with a base model. Give me a 2009, and and a little bit extra money to fix the transmission, and I'm good to go.
Yes, sir. I'd also like to keep that Pulsar from last week.
Oh yeah, you like that thing?
Yes.
All 180 horsepower of it?
153, bub.
153. My bad. Way overrated.
Dynoed. That car rated at 150 in its year it came out. And
yeah.
25 years later, it still dynos it above the rating.
That's crazy.
It just has.
I bet it's a lot of fun. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a track ripper.
Nice. All right. Well, how about we move on to talk a little bit about the next story from our newsletter. So this was our featured story this past week, talking about the shenanigans that went down at the Slammedenuff event at Gatlinburg, Tennessee. Basically, this has been one of the biggest car shows in the country for a long time. And I'd say the culture is kind of hitting a tipping point where the hoodlums are starting to outweigh the true automotive enthusiasts that are in it for the passion, for the performance, for the community. I think that there's, what we're seeing is a lot of that social media influence where they have to constantly do bigger and crazier and stupider things. I don't know if stupider is a word, but you know what I'm saying?
It is today.
In order to get clicks. And, I think that's where the whole stance thing came from. Even in my town, we've got a pretty big community of the stance folk, but just from a pure practical point of view, stance, you're not going to get good performance out of a stance car. In fact, it's probably not going to be very much fun to drive. So, it's really purely for the looks. Josh, you look like you're about to comment on that. Go ahead.
I have to stick up for a little bit of the stance kids, though. When you get too crazy in the camber, that's obviously something, but the VIP style is something I fell in love with early, and so do these kids, and they just accentuate it. I've met some of the best people in that community also. So it's really just the rotten apples seem to be more prevalent in that community, but there are some upstanding members who respect the builds and choose, quality parts. And there's a guy here in Colorado named Adam, and he done some crazy stuff to his cars all by himself. He made a stanced out Cadillac that looks amazing. So there are some amazing things, and that's why people were drew to this culture in the beginning. But yes, it does, like a bug light, attract more. And I think it just has to do with it's the younger audience that's attracted. You can get an Acura TLX and throw some airbags and wheels on it for pretty cheap. Or even like the German cars that we see at all these shows, I see a ton of slammed out Audis, and but to get into a GT-R now, it's a pretty big deal. To get into an Evo, even, it's a pretty big deal. So I kind of think it's just the sliding scale, because at GT-R festival, you're not seeing this.
Yeah.
And I guess at Texas 2K, they get rowdy too.
Yeah. Well, I think there's a difference between sort of that VIP and the stance approach, because VIP, it's like, yeah, they're slammed, they're really tucked, and the cars, I think, are still going to be somewhat drivable. Whereas, the truly stanced cars, they've got 2 inches of tire contact patch on the road because they're so cambered that, they're basically just riding on the inside edge of the car. And, you know, if you're driving, if you're into cars for the driving pleasure, that's not how you set up a car that's meant to be driven. That's how you set up a car that's meant to be like, you know, kind of get likes and clicks and that sort of thing.
So this is a car I used to drive, and you see it's more along the lines of the stance than you. I just think it's good style if you do it right. Now, obviously, I don't have crazy cambers just sitting on airbags, but for me, it's very fascinating to have that style. It's just a sad thing that people want to take it over. I think it's just us as a car community not tolerating it. I think things like this going so public will help, but you know, no one's been able to save H2O, and they made it to where it was a trophy. I knew kids that went to H2OI in New Jersey, and there was a trophy to get your car towed there. Like it was in purpose.
Yeah. Well, wanted to show a quick clip of this video from that dude in blue. Really good YouTuber. If you don't follow him, he covers a lot of things in car culture. And we'll just watch the intro for it real quick so you can kind of get a feel for what it's about and kind of what happened. And then kind of chat a little bit more about it from there. Give me a thumbs up once I start playing if you can hear the audio on this.
The year is 2025 in the beautiful town of Gatlinburg, Tennessee. The gorgeous Smoky Mountains, the overwhelming pleasant nature, with trees as far as the eyes can see, vegetation that inspires IRL streamer haircuts everywhere. What could possibly ruin this feeling of serenity and perfection?
Parking lots are filled with trash. It's disgusting.
You are part of the problem.
Yeah, quick little you know, taste of what happened, but I have to try and scroll back to this right here. This is what I'm talking about with you know, the extremes of stance. He's scraping his mufflers. You got maybe an inch of contact here on the tire here.
The boy's
It's
going
just-
hard.
Yeah, you could say that.
If you hit play a little bit,
Mhm.
the hit pause. How is it possible to have an event with that many young people being rowdy to make it not that? These so many people are there?
Yeah, it's insane. Yeah, it got wild. They're basically like rioting.
That is wild.
Yeah, not cool as this puts it. So yeah, I think it's you know, it's even a bit of that mentality of the sideshows or the street takeovers kind of coming into it as well. And yeah, it's a completely different animal from when I was, you know, in my teens going to car meets and car events. You know, I think people were a little bit more focused on the community of, you know, building cars or optimizing it for, you know, for drift or for the track, or, you know, even just, you know, helping each other do minor mods that they can afford to do. You know, in my day, you know, buying a new turbo was kind of a big deal. And nowadays, you know, you've got kids that can go out and buy a Hellcat, and they've got something that's faster than 99% of cars on the street, that, and, you know, no common sense to actually put that type of machine to use.
I think about that a lot. Like when I first got into cars, the if you had 200 horsepower, you had a lot. And I was beating 5.0 Mustangs in a Civic hatchback with 200 horsepower. And if you had 500 horsepower, you were. But now 500, 1200, and 18, and then these. But yeah, it's crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I used to have a Miata, a turbocharged Miata NA 1.6 that made 230 to the wheels. And that little thing is super fast. And like I could easily walk away from a brand new Corvette at the time. So, you know, that that's pretty highly modified car. You don't get there easily or cheaply.
No, and I mean, our generation wasn't without its shenanigans, right? We were just more respectful about it. We used to meet in youth parking lots and sneak off somewhere in the middle of nowhere to do some racing. But we weren't shutting down the highway. Like, we were going off in the distance. I don't condone street race at all, but when you're young and do dumb stuff. But that's the craziest thing to me is when they roll 3 deep, block all lanes of traffic, and then 2 people shoot off the front. And so I don't know. It's culture itself has changed, I think, is what we have to embrace, right? I don't think we can make car culture better until culture's better. Until we stop having TikTok shenanigans and Instagram likes as the motivator. And when social media tends to give the 1% a megaphone to make them believe that everyone's doing that, right? So like the youth in general are just wilding out as it is. So I think no matter what, this could have been a blanket crafting fair with that many young kids. I think it would have had the same outcome. So I don't necessarily want to blame the car culture as much. Obviously, this is a niche within the car culture that's more prone to it based on demographics. But I think it's a broader cultural issue than it is just the car issue. We've lost respect in society. I mean, it's popular to twerk on a cop car and just break in a store. It's just shenanigans are running rampant as a culture. So I think until that's fixed, it's probably not wise to get that many young people together in one event.
Yeah. I mean, I think the first thing that any event like that has to do is be able to cap the attendance and be able to sort of regulate the crowd in a sense. If you just have it be, no holds barred, it's going to get wild. I think there's no doubt about that. I do think that the social media thing is a big component to the wider culture, as you mentioned as well. It's not just car culture. That's just one area where it's manifesting in a very visible way. But social media in general, I think, rewards craziness like never before. So
it does, but it also it does provide the checks and balance, though, too. To credit, I do see people publicly shaming people. There was a drift event, I think it was in Utah, I forget, that just happened. And same thing. It was a great event. Everyone had a great time. They left. 2 kids go do some takeover stuff. Those 2 kids got identified and then banned from the track. And everyone's sharing it on these drift communities that like, hey, we support these kids getting banned. And so I think people are banding together. A lot of car meets, if you get over 100 cars in a car meet, every flyer of every event you've ever been to now says no burnouts, no revving, no 2-step, right? You have to like spell it out, but people typically do. And Alex, you're familiar with Slush Motorsports. The reason they do that event that way at a track is to keep it all contained in a safe environment. And then that seems to help out a lot. But even at their bigger meets, we've had people ruin it. Someone doing a burnout, someone revving, and they kind of basically ruin the spots that everyone works so hard to get to assemble these. So because the meets are becoming fewer and the spots are becoming fewer and the public addressing of these situations has become more prevalent, I do see it kind of curbing a bit. But again, when you get at scale, it's kind of hard to mitigate that. If you have that was because typically at these events, right, you're at Slush, the majority of those people are there with a vehicle, right? There's like 300 cars in the car show. There's a bunch of people participating at the track. Most people there have a vested interest in the event, right? If you have a 10-to-1 spectator ratio to cars there, or a 20-to-1, I'm guessing in this case probably 50-to-1, there's no vested interest in it besides the thing. So there's, like if you have a car in the show, or you have a friend that has a car in the show, or someone that's putting on the event, these things help a lot. And I think when you get at that scale, there's just a loss of respect for that element. And I just don't know how you would address that.
Yeah. Well, I think that what you talk about with shame is an underutilized mechanism these days across the board. It's like we've kind of hit this in the last maybe 10 years or so, this idea that like shame is always bad, never shame somebody. I'm like, dude, shame is one of the best ways to keep people in check with, minimal consequences. And there's a good saying that like, when you make, forget the exact way of putting it, so I'll paraphrase it. But when you eliminate shame, you have to increase the number of laws to keep people from acting out. And so I do think shame is a very, very good mechanism for
in a tactful
tempering.
way, right? I
Oh,
mean,
100%.
it's done in a call out way. That's great.
Yeah.
But there's a thin line of creating because never in the history of anybody have you yelled at someone and then they said, "Oh yeah, you're right." It always makes them yell back, right?
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
so that conversation has to be had. So there's
Well,
a big difference between calling everyone big stupid heads and
Mhm.
having the conversation. Just respect the spot, like
Yeah.
let
Well,
people
I
know
think
it took
that
hours to get this thing together, right?
the way to properly wield shame in these scenarios isn't to go and yell out and pick a fight with the person acting
Right.
out. It's to spread a conversation with everybody else who says, "Are we willing to accept this? No, I didn't think so. All right, this person's blacklisted, right?"
Blacklisted.
Yeah, and I think that this is I'm looking at different ways to through what we're building at Driven Labo to improve the car culture. And one of the things that we're working on right now for within our app is a system where you can build car clubs and manage them, and you can also host and list events and manage admissions and the attendance and things like that. And I keep coming back to, like, I feel like there needs to be a way to um, almost have it has to be done very mindfully because it could also be abused, but to have like a reputation type of element where if you break the rules of this event, or if you break the rules too many times, you can no longer um, get admission to events. You basically lose access to the events feature.
Blacklisted.
Yeah, and of course, that's going to require some level of moderation and maybe what's the word? A path to get people to be able to get that feature back. If they are able to, I guess I don't know what the word I'm looking for here. Not quite restitution, but um, you know, make the adjustments to the way they show up to earn their way back. So it wouldn't be like blacklist forever. There needs to be a path to redemption. That was the term I was looking for. I feel like mechanisms like this could really help. Plus, one of the things you mentioned too was that a number of events are fewer and far between. It's either you get your cars and coffee with all the boomers on Sunday mornings.
I love those.
They're always a good time, but they're small. Or you get these really massive events that are really hard to manage. I think Slush Motorsports and even Fuel Fest are a good example of sort of the medium to large size events where they've really got it down to a science of how to run an event that doesn't get out of hand. But I don't feel like there's enough outlets for people in our world to go and have the build community and have those connections as there once were. So I'm hoping that one of the things that we can offer through the Driven Vehicles app being built by Driven Labo is a system where people can start to revive different automotive events and do them respectfully.
The crazy part about automotive events right now at scale is the insurance. So when we first started Slush, it was kind of a nominal line item, and now it's almost more than the venue probably in insurance at scale. So I don't even know what those guys were paying in insurance. So
Oh yeah,
there's a lot of variables that go into it. We've always wanted to do an event where we find a section of road in the mountains, a big canyon section, and shut it off and do like a tow run and get the city to shut it off for a day. The insurance on that is bananas, bro. Like, no, not going to happen. So like, I agree with that. And I think what's cool and what I see a revival of is just the smaller groups. We did a barbecue the other day with the Right Hand Drive Club owners group of Facebook. We had like 30, 40 cars here, some barbecue food. We do cruises. We do things. I copied the biker community and did poker runs where in the biker community they go to 5 different bars, which I don't know why you'd be on a bar cruise on a bike, but
Yeah.
my parents used to go to 5 different bars, get 5 cars at the 5th bar, the best hand wins, like a prize or whatever. And so we do those, we do fun cruises. And I mean, at this point, there's only so many times you can stand in a parking lot without something else going on. They're fun. I love going to slush, but I also love the other experiences, you know, whether it be track days. I think that's what's exciting about what we're doing, is having the potential to host a track days, rallies, right? Extended drives through beautiful places, you know.
Yeah, so something that we're looking at doing with maybe even a cross-country rally with a bunch of people within the Web3 community, connecting with our automotive enthusiast friends and doing a cross-country run and turning that into a docuseries. So I've been talking about that quite a bit.
Am I able to talk about the premise of that?
Yeah, absolutely. I've probably talked about it, 15 times in the last couple of months. So feel free to give a quick rundown.
This is the one where you wanted to set a rally challenge to where you could only pay for gas the whole way through digital currency. Is that correct?
Oh, the objective would be to pay for the entire trip using only crypto. So we could do it entirely using the base app, which the Driven Vehicles app is now optimized for and available within. And yeah, it really kind of gives an idea to show like how far the crypto world has come by making it something that can be used in everyday scenarios, but also, just bringing people together to have a fun adventure. And we do it kind of, I'm thinking almost like a Top Gear style, where we've got each stop has a different challenge. Maybe you go to like stop at a drag strip or go to a car show. Maybe we go to a sim racing like cafe sort of thing and do these different challenges at each stop and go from like LA to Miami and record the whole thing. So that will be a lot of fun.
We'll have to do one of those across Japan also.
Oh, heck yeah. Count me in for that.
Do the drift carts and the Ebisu and Fuji.
Yeah. Go downtown Tokyo on the Mario Karts.
I don't know if I would do that. I do have a line on speaking of like taking digital currency for things too and motivating the real world. Is, you and I are working on, and shortly Revhard Motors will be accepting digital currencies for vehicles.
Directly through the website. So you can pay for the I guess the down payment, is it, or the
this would be cash purchases. They'd be a cash equivalent.
Okay, because you initially take a payment to hold the car and then do the rest of the process, right? So
so inventory, those would just be a regular transaction. And for imports, you're right, there is a deposit. We secure the car, and you can pay for that digitally, and then you can send that over. And I've even been working with my partners in Japan. I'm trying to get them set up to where I can do the same, because I go to the bank and I wire money. One day the yen's 148, 152, 130. Like, it's all over the place. It's like a day trader, and it takes a long time to send money. And so,
yeah, really make it a lot more streamlined. Well, we're let's see, coming down to maybe the last 15 minutes or so here. I know, Josh, you got a hard stop, but wanted to open up to anybody who's watching the podcast live. If you have any input that you'd like to provide on, maybe some things you're seeing going on with car culture, maybe some ideas of how it could be improved, and some things that maybe we look at incorporating into our app. We'd love to hear from you, or even if you just have a crazy story to share. The link is available everywhere that we shared the live stream. So feel free to click that link and come up and tell your story. We didn't get anybody last time, but this is kind of a new approach to getting some audience participation. So hope to see somebody jump in here soon. But while we're hanging out, I'm going to go ahead and pull up the newsletter one more time. Give a quick shout out to this. If you like the topics that we're covering, please go and subscribe to the Daily Driven newsletter. We got issue number 95 coming out on Thursday, and you can find that at drivenculture.xyz. That's drvnculture.xyz. And
shout out House Swap.
Yeah, we've been getting sponsors now for every issue. We got Uniswap as a sponsor for the last few, and then for this one we've got CowSwap, which honestly I've never heard of before, but I think I looked into them. They look pretty legit. So if you're looking for an alternative to Uniswap, might be worth checking out. And it also supports us. So if you subscribe to our newsletter and you click on the the sponsor link, that helps to put a few bucks in our pocket to kind of keep things moving along. But just quick rundown of the last issue. Of course, every issue we do another column of Buster's Space Meditations, where I like to tell a little bit of a philosophical lesson using automotive metaphors. And then I always feature the car that we've got as our featured listing in the imagery for it. So check that out. We've got our hot headlines. So these are going to be the number one trending stories from across different topics. So for motorsports, we had George Russell's win in Singapore and McLaren's title championship. So we've got like 6 races left in the season, and McLaren's been dominating so much that they already took the championship. If you watch the race, Piastri was not too pleased. That did not make the fact that he didn't win any better. So it was kind of funny to see him pouting, even though they just won the championship. The new iRacing arcade game just dropped 2 days ago. I went ahead and downloaded the demo of this to check it out, but it looks like a lot of fun. It's kind of like iRacing, like the classic sim game, meets Mario Kart in a sense. It's kind of got this cute style to it. I pulled it up here. You can go on the Steam store and you can download the demo for free. I'm actually going to be testing this out. I might even do a little live stream giving my first reactions of this game, but looks like a lot of fun. Very kind of Nintendo vibes.
I like it.
Yep. So stay tuned for a live stream I'll try to do this week, if not next week, given my first impressions of it. We mentioned this in our podcast last week, that we had a new Web3 sponsor join the Alpine F1 team, along with Pudgy Penguins and Cosmos. So Web3 is definitely rolling deep in motorsports now, and I love to see it. And then in the culture side, there was an article recently put out by Haggerty announcing that 80s and 90s cars are surging in prices, and that the price predictions are showing that they're going to continue to increase over the years, which is great because that's really the segment of collector cars we're focused on here at Driven, is particularly JDM, but I would say the cars that our generation, if you're in your 30s and 40s and grew up playing these games driving these cars in video games or seeing them in movies, the ones that we always wanted to have, but as like a teenager couldn't afford, well, now we can afford them, and that's sending the prices and collectability higher. Interestingly enough, the top mover is the late 70s and early 80s Nissan 280Z. So if you got one of these a few years ago for like $4,000, you're sitting pretty.
Yes.
We covered Slammedenuff, and then we always wrap it up with our celebrity car collection on volume 23 here with Neymar Jr. and his car collection. But we will not get into that. You'll have to subscribe to get the full issue. And I'd say it's a pretty fun newsletter. I have a lot of fun and put a lot of pride into making something informative and entertaining each week. And then, we had our podcast with Wally Dow that we featured there. And So that is the newsletter. Please go and check it out. It was definitely fun getting Josh back on the pod and deep diving into some of these topics. Hopefully you can make it to some more
Absolutely.
Wednesday. Cool. I'd love to have you on with Kent from Hypercars here. We are going to have him on November 5th. He's the creator of this site that collects automotive market data from a variety of different resources. And we're also talking with him about incorporating their API, their market data API, directly into our app for being able to do real-time valuations on the cars in our collection, or maybe even offering people that registered their car on chain, a little bit of alpha right there for something that's coming, to be able to get real-time valuations of their car, so they can always see without having to go to Kelley Blue Book and insert all that information, which is inevitably not going to be correct. Case in point, I drive a 97 Nissan 240SX. If I go to Kelley Blue Book, it's going to tell me my car's worth $4,500. Meanwhile, I could probably go and sell it for 10 times that if I find the right buyer. So, it's good to get market data from a lot of different resources to see the true value of your car. And so that's something we'll be able to offer through partnering with hypercars.io. Kent's a good guy. I've had a few conversations with him in the past. He races a Porsche 911 for fun on the weekends, so definitely knows his stuff. Josh, do you want to give any closing remarks or shameless self promotions before we close it up?
We have been building a platform to make importing a car very seamless and easy, like ordering a pizza. That'll be unveiled soon. I don't want to give too much. Giving people more options to pay, and building the community is really what we're up to. We see a lot of positive trends coming in. I think in the future, maybe I could touch in what the market is like. Right now, the yen to dollar is very favorable in our position. So if you want to import a car, it's a good time, even though the tariffs are in place. We have ways to help with that also. We're kind of discounting some of our fees to help offset some of these tariff costs. So we can talk about that in the future. But we're also pivoting and just making a bunch of content in our end, and a lot of it will be for both platforms. So you'll see a lot of that. And we'll be shooting the Ferrari here soon. I got a videographer lined up for that. Some more content in here. And my photographer guy that does the photos of the cars is going to start taking the Osmo every time he shoots the car. So we're also going to get some reels. So I'll include some videos for you guys for the features for those cars as well.
Awesome.
And so I look forward to being more part of these podcasts. I also look forward to doing some other side content in this format to get the word out. But I'm really excited about what's happened. Everyone who's been on the journey. I've been with Driven Vehicles now for it's almost 2 years now.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a while, and the development and the growth, and with Gary coming on board, it's really taken direction and shape. So I'm pretty excited. I'm excited to do more of these podcasts. We're excited to get some more guests. I'll have some more guests to bring to the table too about some unique and exciting things going on. The car market itself is pretty wild right now. The markets themselves is pretty wild right now. The world's pretty soft right now.
Yeah. Well, just actually, while you're mentioning that, I'll point out over here that the JDM market is currently up 11%. I don't know what the time frame is on it, but you can get some really great insights as to how the car market's doing.
Yes. All of the above. We're here and we support it.
Awesome. Well, great to have you back, man. And looking forward to having you as co-host on more episodes. And then Gary, any final words before I give my send off?
Yeah. First of all, great insights as always. I mean, the massive amount of knowledge that Max provides. Josh, you put Maxscape, but Josh, you provide. I mean, I learn a lot. I learn a lot, and there's so many questions there that I want to, cut you off and ask you questions like a fan. But man, yeah, just want to say thanks to everyone who was here, all the 70 viewers who are joining us on this stream. Also want to say thanks to all the people who jumped into the chat. They provided all the, submitted their questions, and also some of the people on Telegram and on X. They actually made some comments, so they were saying that you guys were providing great insights, and also some of it was really educational for them. I guess they're new to the car scene, or they just didn't know that there was so much amount of knowledge out there to learn from people like you guys that provide that kind of discussion and people can learn from. So yeah, I want to shout out to all the 70 viewers, everyone who was in the chat, and also I guess looking forward for the next coverage with the next newsletter number. I believe we will be covering number 95.
95.
So,
yep,
that's right.
Exactly.
So,
So
yeah.
All right, great. Thanks, Gary. Well, yeah, if you have any thoughts on some things you'd like us to cover on the Money Shift podcast, questions you have about the car market, car culture, specific cars in general, we'd love to dig into those and provide more information. So message us if there's something that you'd like to see. And then other than that, we'll be back next Wednesday, same time. And yeah, tell your friends, let's grow this audience. And yeah, I guess that's going to do it. All right. Cheers, guys.
See you in the next one.
All right. Okay. Adios.